Most people are worried about making tax digital, but for many, it's actually a real opportunity to save money, especially if you work with other businesses or in construction industry under CIS scheme. In this video, I'll show you exactly why. My name is Tomasz Wiadrowski and I've been running an accounting firm SAFI Advisory Services Limited in London for over 15 years. Today we are going to talk about making tax digital, changes that many people are concerned about, and honestly, I completely understand why. When people hear that instead of one annual tax return, they'll need to report several times a year, the first thought is simple: more work, more costs, more stress. But today, I want to show you the other side of it. Because the truth is, making tax digital doesn't have to be a bad thing. In many cases, it can actually help you run your business better, plan your taxes more efficiently, and simply save money. And if you work in construction, especially under CIS, there can be very real financial gain for you. I'll talk about those as well as benefits for people working mainly with other businesses later in the video. But it's important to understand that the advantages are not limited to construction or B2B only. They just tend to be most visible there. So I encourage everyone to watch this video through. Instead of focusing on fear, I want to calmly explain where the benefits are, how to approach this, and why it doesn't have to be complicated. At first glance, submitting reports 4 times a year may seem like a burden. And I get that. You might be thinking, I used to do this once a year. Why do I now have to do it more often? But this is exactly where the real value is. Because when your data is updated regularly, you are no longer working blindly. You don't wait until the end of the tax year to understand what's going on in your business. You see it as you go. And that changes everything. First of all, it allows you to estimate your tax in advance. Right now, many people only find out how much tax they owe after the year has ended. And by then, it's often too late to do anything about it. But when you have an up-to-date data during the year, you can actually plan. You and your accountant can look at the numbers and say, okay, this year is going well, profits are higher, which means tax will be higher too. What can we still do before the year ends to manage this properly? And that's where real decisions happen. Maybe a pension contribution, or investing in new business assets, maybe buying equipment you needed anyway, or making other business expenses that make sense now, not after the year ends. The key is you are not reacting after the fact. You see the impact of your decisions in real time. For example, after 2 or 3 quarters, you might see your income is significantly higher than last year. Your accountant can then say, if nothing changes, your tax will be around this level. But if we take certain steps now, we can improve the situation. And that can lead to real savings. We are not talking about 100 or 200 pounds. In many cases, this can mean thousands, depending on the business. Another major benefit is that a good accountant can actually support you during the year, not just at the end. That's a huge difference. Right now, many people only interact with their accountant at the time of filing. Documents are submitted, numbers are final, and there's nothing left to change. But when your data is updated regularly, your accountant has real visibility into your business. They can spot trends, identify issues, and suggest improvements. They can tell you, this cost looks fine. This one is worth reviewing. This could be deductible. This purchase makes sense at your current income level. Maybe hold off on this one, and so on. And suddenly, your accountant is no longer just handling paperwork. They're actually helping you run your business. And that can translate directly into money, because a good decision made at the right time is often worth far more than a perfectly prepared tax return at the end. Another big advantage is predictability and avoiding unpleasant surprises. Many people struggle with this. They delay their tax return, leave it to the last minute, and then suddenly find out they owe a large amount. And that creates stress. Where do I get the money? Why is it so high? Why didn't I know earlier? With regular updates, you can estimate your tax much earlier. And once you know roughly what to expect, you can start setting money aside monthly or quarterly, ideally in a separate account. Instead of a shock at the end, everything is under control. And even better, that money can work for you in the meantime. Sitting in a saving account, it can earn interest. So you avoid surprises and manage your cash in a smart way. That brings peace of mind. And in business, that matters. Another benefit, it becomes much harder to lose receipts and miss expenses. This may seem small, but it's actually very important. Because how often do people collect documents throughout the year, emails, receipts in a car, papers in a drawer, and then at the end, some of them are simply missing? And if expenses are missing, they are not claimed. And if they are not claimed, you pay more tax than you should. With regular bookkeeping, everything is captured closer to the time it happens. It's easier to track, easier to categorize, easier to justify and to remember. It also makes life much easier in case of an HMRC inquiry. If your records are up to date, organized, and reviewed regularly, there's no last minute panic. Your accountant already knows your business. They've seen the data throughout the year. They've had a chance to correct mistakes early. So if anything comes up, you are prepared. No chaos, no surprises, no digging through months of documents. Another advantage is being able to analyze your business throughout the year and adjust your plans. Running a business is not just about paying tax, it's about making decisions. Is this work worth continuing? Is this project profitable? Is this client worth it? Are my prices right? With better data, you can make better decisions. Especially if you run multiple jobs or projects, you can see which ones actually make money. You can adjust faster and focus on what works. Accounting software also allows you to track specific projects, so you can see in real time whether a job is profitable. Instead of fixing things after a year, you can adjust your pricing and strategy much sooner. And the same applies to costs. When everything is in one place, it's much easier to see where money is being spent unnecessarily. Sometimes you don't need more income, you just need better control of expenses. In our firm, we use very user-friendly software. It's easy to learn, intuitive, and genuinely simple to use. To be honest, it's much easier than working with paper or spreadsheets. And the key thing is, it doesn't take much time. If you keep your records updated regularly, it can literally take just a few minutes every couple of days. It takes away the stress and makes the whole process feel much more manageable, even enjoyable. Now, let me say something very important. This really can be simple. It really can. A lot of people imagine this as something complicated, lots of systems, lots of admin, lots of effort. But in reality, it comes down to organization. If you have a separate business bank account, that alone makes a huge difference. Everything is clearer. Income, expenses, tax, all in one place. And it doesn't have to be expensive. There are even free options. I've talked about metal bank account in another video. If you want to prepare properly, it's worth watching that as well. With a simple structure, good habits, and regular updates, this doesn't become chaos. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. In fact, working with good accountant can easily pay for itself because it helps you to save more than it costs. But one important point, a good accountant doesn't just put everything on autopilot. And this is worth saying. Some companies offer very low prices and it looks attractive, but often there are hidden costs. Annual returns charged separately, limited support, very automated service without real insight. A good accountant needs time to understand your business and help you properly. So it's not about finding the cheapest option, it's about getting real value. Now let's move to something particularly interesting, construction and CIS, because this is where many people can really benefit. Up to now, many people working under CIS avoided registering for VAT voluntarily. Why? More admin, quarterly filings, accounting software. It just seemed like too much. But now, let's look at it differently. If making tax digital already requires regular reporting and software, then most of that structure is already in place, isn't it? So what people were avoiding with VAT is now largely part of MTD anyway. And here's the key point. If you work under CIS and register for VAT, in most cases you'll be using the reverse charge, which means, in simple terms, your sales invoices will have zero VAT on them. So from an income perspective, nothing really changes. But on the cost side, everything changes. Because now you can reclaim VAT on your purchases, materials, tools, equipment, various business expenses. And that's where real benefits come in. Let's say you spend around 2,000 per month plus VAT on materials. That's about £400 of VAT per month. Over a quarter, that's around 1,200. That's £1,200 of VAT refund every quarter just from expenses. And this is separate from annual CIS tax refunds when CIS deposits are higher than tax due. This system of CIS refunds will stay the same. However, you can also benefit from additional VAT refunds. So suddenly, you have the same income, but extra cash coming back regularly. So yes, there are some additional requirements when registering for VAT, but much of that is already required under MTD. And financially, the benefit can be very significant. That's why for many people under CIS, this is a great opportunity to consider VAT registration. And a similar situation applies to people offering their services to other businesses. Many avoid VAT because they think, well, I'll have to add VAT, I'll be more expensive. But in business-to-business relationship, that's often not an issue. Because if your client is VAT registered, they reclaim the VAT anyway. So for them, your service costs the same if you add VAT on top of it. But for you, you can now reclaim VAT on your expenses, and suddenly your costs become cheaper. So again, because MTD already requires systems like accounting software and regular reporting, much of the structure is already there. So adding VAT reporting isn't a big step. And if your clients are VAT registered, charging VAT doesn't really impact them, while you benefit from reclaiming VAT on your costs. Finally, a few practical points. MTD reports will be submitted quarterly using accounting software, not manually. If you fall under MTD now, your first quarterly submission will be in July 2026. So there's no need to panic. Everything doesn't have to be perfect from day one. There's time to prepare and even update some data retrospectively. A business bank account is highly recommended, but not mandatory. If you are still using a personal account and you haven't opened business bank account yet, don't worry. It's still possible to file MTD. It's just slightly more work. MTD also doesn't have to be expensive. In our firm, prices start from just £35 plus VAT for smallest businesses. And importantly, there are no surprises. Our monthly fee includes the year-end tax return for the business income, which is not always the case elsewhere. So always check what's included. At the end of the day, if you want this to be simple and not expensive, it really comes down to a few basic things: a business bank account, accounting software, good habits, and consistency. And both the account and software can be free. With a simple system, this is not complicated. It's just about being organized. So to bring this all together, making tax digital might look like just another obligation, but in reality, it can help you plan better, stay in control, and keep more of your money, not just report more. And like I said at the beginning, there's really no need to panic. With the right setup, this can be simple and actually work in your favor. At our firm, SAFI Advisory Services, we offer simple, clear, and competitively priced solutions for making tax digital. Our goal is to make things easy to understand and genuinely helpful. If you'd like to prepare properly, avoid stress, and see where you can improve or save money, feel free to get in touch. We'll be happy to help. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.